Hey everybody, this is Matt Chico from Pop Review the Movie Podcast, and welcome to this week's box office breakdown. We're going to talk about the box office. We're going to talk about how the movies at the box office are doing. We're going to talk about some charts, but I want to start with the news really quick that Mission Impossible 7 and 8 have been delayed. We're seeing a couple things getting delayed still. I'm not sure if it's strictly for COVID or because these movies took a while to get started because of COVID, then it's just like not going to meet its date because these are big movies, or if it's strictly because they want the most money. I'm not really sure, because Morbius, I think it was either to give Spider-Man No Way Home some more money, or if it was because they wanted to add some stuff from Spider-Man No Way Home to make it more tie into the MCU. With Mission Impossible, they were shooting Mission Impossible 7 and 8 back to back. That's a lot to do. I think it shut down a couple times. I think it just took a while to get filmed. So because of that, it's delayed. I don't know if it's because of people aren't coming to the theaters anymore. So it is a little sad to be seeing this, but at least it's not like 2020 where it was like every day a new movie was getting pushed back. So now Mission Impossible 7 will come out in 2023 and Mission Impossible 8 will come out in 2024. So at least they come out back to back. So that is nice. But it's still upsetting that they're getting pushed back still, because those movies have suffered a lot of delays. Like Morbius suffered a lot of delays. So at some point you're getting a little nervous. If you're not saying it's for the money, but then you put it out and it doesn't make money, you can't blame the movie. You decided to push it so far back. So it's a complicated situation. This week's box office breakdown isn't all negative. Let's start with the positives. Let's start with the domestic box office. Spider-Man No Way Home moved back up to number one spot with a little over $14 million. Number two was Scream, and that had about 12.2 with a large drop. I want to talk about that a little bit because it's, when you compare it to the other Screams, it's really not, it doesn't mean the world's ending for Scream, for their box office chances. Number three, Sing, $5.7 million, and that's pretty good with a 28% drop. It's on PVOD, and we'll talk about where that is on PVOD too. So like, it's pretty much getting double the revenue, which is, Universal must be loving that. Number four was a new movie called Redeeming Love. It had $3.5 million. And then rounding out the top five, it is The Kingsman. It made $1.7 million. So before we talk about the movies individually and how they did, let's talk about the worldwide box office, see how everything did there. Still at number one is the Spider-Man No Way Home with $41.8 million. The fifth installment of the Scream franchise, 22.6, not terrible. Now, Sing at number 3 with $18.5 million. Number 4 with $7.9 million is The Kingsman. And back in the worldwide charts now with 5.2 is a movie called Embrace Again. So Embrace Again from China is back in the top 5, sorry. Spider-Man No Way Home is climbing the all-time charts still. Before we get to that, I want to just talk about, it's only dropping very little amount. In its sixth weekend, it dropped 30%. Which is, it's really good, I feel like. I feel like its highest drop was its second weekend, and it was a 67% drop. Okay, it also made $260 million the first weekend. But after that, the third weekend, 34%. The fourth weekend, 42%. The fifth weekend, 38%. And now the sixth weekend, actually, its lowest drop yet is 30%. When you look at where Spider-Man No Way Home is, this is actually exciting because like a movie really hasn't come up since like 2019. So we've had like a whole 2 years almost where there was no movies like entering the top all-time charts. So watching this kind of rise is really fun. Now looking at the domestic, it didn't really change at all. It's still at number 4, and it has to be Avatar with $760 million. So it has to make another $38.6 million. We'll just round it up. It has to make another $39 million. Can it do that? I'm not sure. This whole time I was like, I don't know. I think it's going to come right before Avatar. I don't think it has it in it because the new movies in February are starting to come out, and then March, and then you have the Batman and all that in the summer. So I don't think it's going to, I think the legs are going to die probably starting in the new month. Probably not by much, but then especially in March, it's going to die. Very long legs for Avatar, very small drops. And Spider-Man is not doing the exact same thing, but I haven't seen drops like that since Avatar and since like a movie like that where it's making that much money and also dropping that little. Because other movies, yes, have dropped less. But when you're talking about movies that have this amount of money and still making money, I haven't seen it since Avatar. So it actually, I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it could happen. I think it's either going to come really close or it's going to pass it. I hope it passes it because that I think just being in this time in the pandemic and seeing a movie make an incredible amount of money, it's really fun to like. I miss watching these kind of movies. Like I remember with Avengers Endgame, I was always like, "Oh, where did it make today? How much should it make today?" And like seeing it climb the charts, and it's fun to do that. So I'm excited. I'm having fun tracking all this stuff. So now, this is where Spider-Man: No Way Home has made some progress in the all-time list. In the worldwide box office, it has jumped to number 6. And it has passed The Lion King, and it has passed Jurassic World, and it's now right at like $1.7 billion. Now, in order to get the number 5 spot, and probably that's where it would stay, and pass Avengers Infinity War, it has to make over $300 million. I don't know if that's going to happen, because right now it's only making 41 million, a little over 41 million worldwide every week. Could it happen? Yes. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I think it might be the same situation with domestic. It comes real close or it just passes. We'll have to wait and see. I think we will know in a couple months because probably in a couple months it's probably going to leave theaters. I'm assuming. Actually, I don't know because it's making so much money. They might just keep it in. This would be like the only movie where it's like a traditional movie release and it doesn't come out in streaming later. Because once you put that on PVOD, it is going to blow up. Everyone's going to buy it. They want to rewatch it. Whoever gets this, I think it goes to PVOD, then streaming. It goes to Netflix, then it goes to Disney Plus. So PVOD is the first time you're able to like have your own copy. That's going to be at number 1 for a while. And when that time comes, we will be covering it here because I will show you those iTunes charts. So let's talk about Scream now. It was at number 1 last week. It came down to number 2, but it's still doing fairly well. Because also the budget, it was only like $24 million. It made that after its opening weekend. So I think even though it's not performing, I think what people want it to, it's still performing successfully. It's performing around the second and the third one, but the thing is though, those came out years ago. So like if you were to adjust for inflation, they would be making so much more money now. So it's not making more money, but it's making even money with the original. But it's like the time was different, so it's hard to kind of compare, but we're going to try our best. Now, when you look at weekend comparisons for Scream, the whole franchise, at the second weekend, it was around a little over $51 million. The first Scream was at 21.2, but that also was a limited release when it first came out. The second one was at 55 million, so it's around the second one. And the third one was at 56.9 million. So then it's around the second and the third one. And Scream 4 had 31 million. And that's already past its domestic. Scream 2022 has already passed Scream 4's domestic box office total. It hasn't hit the worldwide one yet, but it seems like it's performing more on a level of the second and the third one. So yes, all in all with the Scream, it had a big second week drop, but a lot of horror movies do. But the second and third one also had similar 50% range drops. This one had the higher end. The other ones maybe had a little bit of the lower end, but it's still on track with the same one. So we'll have to see. I think those might, because back then it was more of a legs kind of game. Like you kind of had the movie out for a while. Nowadays, the box office is short bursts. Maybe it's going back to that. I'm not sure. Back to the old way. But I think Scream is going to come around the second and the third one. It's just got to see where it's coming. Because you have next weekend. You still have until February. And they're still not huge movies. So you still have a chance to make in some money. We'll just have to see. So the next thing I want to talk about is Nielsen actually came out with the 2021 top 15 streaming movies of the year. They did TV shows as well. I'm just going to cover the movies. I'll just say that Netflix dominated the TV game, except for a couple, and WandaVision was on there. Woohoo, go WandaVision. The 2021 top 15 streaming movies from Nielsen, Disney Plus dominated this. 11 out of 15. So we're just going to really quick break it down and go through it. Number 1 was Luca, which I think probably would have done. I think Luca was the right move to go, even though I know people are upset about it, and I think this could have done a day and date or like a 45-day or like a 30-day thing like Encanto did. I think Luca benefited from being on streaming because it's the number 1 streaming movie of 2021. I don't think it would have been in the top 10 of the box office. I mean, I think the Red Notice thing or Turning Red thing was a bad decision. I think they should be doing with Disney and doing like in the theaters and then 30 days later on Disney Plus. But Disney's going to do what they're going to do. Number 2 is Moana, a movie from 2016, still on the top of the charts. Great movie. Number 3, Raya the Last Dragon, came out last year. Frozen 2 is number 4. Number 5 was Red Notice. which is actually surprising because Red Notice is Netflix's biggest movie of all time. So Luca actually was watched more than that. So if Disney Plus actually released their numbers, I would think that like Luca would be like one of their biggest movies on Disney Plus, which I wouldn't be surprised if you hear a sequel coming out soon from there. Number 6 was the original Frozen. Number 7 was Soul from 2020. Number 8 was Cruella. Number 9 was Mitchell vs. the Machines. Number 10 was Jungle Cruise. Number 11 was Black Widow. Number 12 was Tomorrow Wars. Number 13 was Coco, another movie from a while ago. Everything else is usually in the kind of like 2019 to 2021 range. And then Frozen, Moana, and Coco kind of are movies that are still super popular from years ago. Number 14 was We Can Be Heroes. Number 15 was Avengers Endgame. So I'm curious to see what 2022 is and put it out maybe in the beginning of the 1st of January, the first week of January instead of the almost February month. But I'm really hoping that streaming, the numbers become more visible, because I think that also that helps your movies. Also, if they're not doing well, it doesn't help your movies. But I think I like to track the box office myself. Obviously, I'm doing a video about box office breakdowns, so I would love to see streaming numbers and how well they did. So we're going to move on to the Netflix's global top 10 for movies. Number 1 is a new movie from Netflix called The Royal Treatment. Number 2 was Brazen. Number 3 was Don't Look Up. It's in its 5th week on the top 10. Number 4 is The Secret Life of Pets. Number 5 is Riverdance, the animated adventure. Number 6 is Munich, The Edge of War. Number 7 is After We Fell. Number 8 is Red Notice, 11 weeks in the top 10. Like I said, it was in the top 15 of Nielsen's biggest stream movies of 2021. So obviously that makes sense. Number 9 is Back to the Outback. And number 10 is Mother Android, which last week I don't know if you remember, was number 2. So it dropped quite significantly. It's actually a very interesting thing because Mother Android is on Hulu in the United States and it's globally on Netflix. And it's hitting the Netflix top charts, but I don't think it's hitting any of Hulu's charts. And I don't think it's blowing up on Hulu. So it's really interesting to see if you put something on Netflix, it probably will just blow up. And then finally, we're going to talk about iTunes top 10. So the number 1 is No Time to Die. Number 2 is Sing 2, and also in the top 5. So very well. It's doing very well. It's just making all the money everywhere. Number 3 is Dune. Number 4 is Ghostbusters Afterlife. Number 5 is The Matrix Resurrection. That didn't do great in theaters. So let's see if it does well on PVOD. The number 6 is The French Dispatch. Number 7 is Venom. Number 8 is Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings. Number 9 is Free Guy. And number 10 is Spiderman Far From Home. And like I said again, I feel like once No Way Home goes onto PVOD, it is going to just dominate the top 10 for a while because people are still buying Spider-Man movies. I feel like because they're still seeing No Way Home or they want to rewatch them. So once that comes out, people are going to get it and they're just going to watch it over and over and over again. It's just been dominating. It's on social media all the time. I haven't seen a break from it from people making memes. I haven't seen a break from it in the box office. I feel like it's just like it's an endgame of this year. It is of last year, I guess, but it's one of those genie in the bottle movies, which I think people are realizing may be more of what theaters are becoming for more of those big event movies. So we'll have to see if these smaller movies are going to make an impact on the box office as well. For the rest of January, nothing's really coming out. And then you have Jackass Forever and Moonfall. And like I said, let's see if those make a dent in the box office and see if movies are strictly becoming kind of these big event movies worthy of going to the theaters, or if you can just make movies that people want to go see, you draw them to the theaters as well. That's a question that's being asked every single day, I feel like, in Hollywood. And on that note, that was your box office breakdown. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Click around our YouTube page. Cheers.